March 10th meeting of the Board of Selectmen. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do any of my board members have anything unanticipated? No? Anybody from the audience have anything unanticipated? Announcements and recognitions?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Frog.
on a kind of a personal note, I would like to say happy birthday to my daughter Kennedy. She is 4 years old today, and she was wondering if the board would sing happy birthday to her.
Would we sing happy birthday?
She wanted to know if we were going to sing happy birthday. She is watching, so mind your P's and Q's.
Start us off, Mr. Chair. You're the leader of this group. Come on.
Oh, Mr. Frawley.
We have a professional singer.
Yes, we do, actually. So,
Oh,
Kennedy.
that's right. I'm sorry, I didn't.
professional singer, would you jump right into it?
Sure. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kennedy. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it, and so does Kennedy.
I am.
I'll send you all a smiling picture of it.
There you go. There you go. Well, Kennedy, happy birthday. May you have many more, and I remember when you were sitting in that seat over there a while back. You were about that tall.
She's still about that.
She's still about that tall. To any other announcements or recognitions? Yes, Mr. Quell. I'm not singing anymore.
No, it's okay. Just want to recognize what I thought was just a great story on the front page of the Gazette. And certainly I think it is worthwhile for us all to recognize a little 8th grade girl here in Middleborough by the name of Ella Morrison. This is probably one of the most impressive 8-year-olds I've ever read about. She decided to start a charity selling her lemonade in her front yard in order to raise money to help 2 classmates who we all remember were diagnosed with cancer, 2 young lives that we tragically lost. She's decided to continue with her charity, and she now donates all her proceeds to the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. And I just want to first recognize little Ella Morrison and her parents, and also to remind folks that she'll be selling her lemonade at the Farmers Market, at the Herring Run Festival at Oliver Mills on April 11th through April 13th, and the Middleborough Youth Softball Opening Day on the 26th. And thank you to John Tessier for writing such a great story of the Gazette. Thank you very much.
Mr. Quill. Mr. Quill.
Yes.
You know, we hear a lot of negative news in the news. It's not often we hear really a good story. I would entertain a motion to send this young lady either a proclamation or a letter of appreciation.
So moved.
Second.
Great.
A motion and a second to send a, what do you think would be best?
Proclamation.
Proclamation.
Let's go with a proclamation. Jackie, can you get a proclamation together? And we will forward that to her. Maybe we can have her come in,
Absolutely. Be my honor.
possibly next Monday night.
If she comes in, she should ask her to bring some lemonade, because it's pretty good.
Yeah, okay, here we go.
We'll
go right into the
I'll
state
pay for it,
house.
goes to charity.
Never mind the bribes, just come in and get the certificate. I think that's good. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I have one announcement. We have a gentleman who's been serving on one of our town boards. All boards are important, and there are some that are a little bit more important than others. The Finance Committee is one of those right up there, at the top of the list, and that's Rich Pavadori. And he's
He's going to be not running for re-election, so I threatened him with a write-in campaign, but I'm not certain he took me seriously. However, I know that when I was first getting involved in the town, Rich was on the finance committee, and I would listen to what they said more than when I listened to what the selectmen said, because it was more of a balanced approach to what was going on in the town. And I just want to extend my sincere thanks to Rich for his years of service. It's a commitment. It's a big commitment he made, and he's done a terrific job with that board. And the board's done a terrific job, but as the leader of that, they've really been a force that sort of a guiding light for the town. So I would just like to extend my thanks to Rich, and actually, I'd like to do a letter of thanks for him, if you wouldn't mind. Would entertain a motion on that?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Any other announcements or recognitions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
Of course. I would like to also thank Rich. I had the honor of serving with him for 3 years on the Finance Committee, and I came in totally green, and he taught so much. He's very patient, and 12 years of service. He's been a real guiding light on that board.
Yes, he has.
Thanks, Rich. I would also like to mention, speaking of proclamations here, I did go to the Lodge's 150th on Tuesday. They had about 100 people from around the state that came, including Senator Pacheco was there, Representative Oral, someone from Representative Keating's office, and it was a very, very nice ceremony, and congratulations to them again. Also, this Saturday, All Are Welcome is celebrating its 2nd year anniversary with a breakfast. It's from 7:30 to 11 on Saturday, the 15th. That's 60 Union Street behind the church there, so stop by. I know Alan loves to eat there.
It's a good breakfast, it really is.
Yep, absolutely. And as far as the Herring Festival goes, yes, the deadline has come and gone for the calendar and the brochures. However, we are still accepting vendors, food and otherwise. So if you're interested, please email herringrunfestival@gmail or www.facebook.com/herringfriends. And you can get some information about participating. Okay, yeah, I shortened that one.
Yeah. If you can remember it.
Really, really. And I think that's all. That's all I have.
Any other announcements or recognition from board members? Any announcements or recognitions from the audience? Okay. In that case, we'll go on to item number 4, which is to vote to approve the March 3rd regular meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions, corrections? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Would entertain a motion to authorize the chairman or his designee to sign the warrants for the week ending March 7th, 2014.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. New business. We have before us a motion to appoint Jamie Meserve to the Middleborough Agricultural Commission for a 3-year term. She came to our meeting this month and to meet us, and we think she would make a valuable contribution. She graduated from Norfolk County Agricultural School and is raising rabbits as part of her upcoming small farm in Middleborough. Is Jamie present? Well, anything you'd like to say or add? Don't be nervous.
I don't think so.
No? No? Okay. Board members have any questions, comments? No?
I look forward to making a contribution.
Thank you for that.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Jamie Meserve to the Middleborough Agricultural Commission for a term of 3 years.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. You're in.
Thank
Thank you very
3
much.
years.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is to appoint the following individuals as alternate members of the Tourism Committee. That would be Helena Jean Louise, Ted Ayers, and Sherry Swindle.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if I may, and I spoke with the town manager about this, if we could appoint them as permanent members, when I had shown my plan and my timeline for the tourism plan, I had anticipating getting funding by the summer and an intern by April. We're way ahead of schedule, and we really need the help. Town manager said that would be all right to appoint them as permanent members.
Okay, we want to determine the lengths of terms for these.
You gave us terms from the other.
Yep.
So.
Why don't we make one of them 1 year, one of them 2 years, and one of them 3 years?
That probably will balance it out.
Okay.
That way, okay. So what about Helena, 1 year term, Ted Ayers a 2 year term, and Sherry a 3 year term?
Yep.
Okay.
That's good.
Would it entertain a motion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Make a motion to appoint the following members as permanent members of the Tourism Committee. Helena Jean Louise for 1 year, Ted Ayers for 2 years, and Sherry Swindle for 3 years.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
I may have to abstain because I'm on that committee. Is that true? I'm asking.
No.
Can't hurt.
No? Okay, all right, then, aye. Want to make
All
sure.
set?
Yep.
Comfortable and happy? That's what we want.
I don't want to miss it.
Vote to approve the request for the Friends of the Middleborough Lakeville Herring Run to hold the Herring Festival at Oliver Mill Park, the library, and the Town Hall Ballroom between April 11th and April 13th. Are there timeframes involved in this?
Yes, there are. The April 11th is the Friday night, and that will be at Oliver Mill Park from 7 to 10. There is going to be a bonfire, some guitar music, folk songs, and ghost stories from local authors. And then Saturday, the 12th, will be at Oliver Mill Park from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. with vendors and a lot of great educational groups like the Nature Conservancy doing presentations. And then later that evening at 7 will be a big grand concert at the Middleborough Town Hall. Sunday will be at Oliver Mill Park from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. with the same kind of daytime activities as Saturday. And then simultaneously at the library will be local authors signing books at the library and 2 concerts, one of which I will be giving.
Okay. So you're going to coordinate, or your group will coordinate with the vendors to make sure they get all the proper certifications and all?
Yes, we have a wonderful events coordinator who does that for a living. And in the letter I put, we have spoken with Chief Gates. We're all set there with police at the crossing because people will be parking at the KOA across the street. The chief is also going to send a cruiser with the lights flashing to alert people on 44 that something's going on. The DPW will be putting signs for us to say there will be parking, so again, people will know what's going on. We've talked to Chief Benjamino, and he approves of the event, only requesting that we get a permit for the bonfire. And all of the food vendors that have applied have been given the application for the temporary permit and instructed that they have to obtain that from the health department themselves before we will let them there.
Okay. Very good. Comments of the board, questions of the board? Hearing none. Pleasure of the board.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the festivities as described. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is the vote to send a letter of support for tourism funding to state legislators as requested by Paul Cripps, Executive Director of Plymouth County Convention and Visitors Bureau. This is just a basic letter indicating keep the money coming, we need it
Right,
to
to keep
draw
the
tourism
regional
to the
offices funded, exactly, which is how we received our grant money, and so we just put a little personal note in there saying that as well.
Okay.
Yep.
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
Motion to approve?
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. We have, next item on the agenda is a vote for license application for a second-hand license for Diamond Treasures at 5 Wareham Street, Suite B. This will be Lisa Diamond. Is Lisa present? Come right up. The license application is for 5 Wareham Street, Suite B. Diamond Treasures, the hours of operation are going to be 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Will this be 7 days a week?
5 or 6.
5 or 6, okay. Refurbished furniture, et cetera, okay. Questions of the board? Have you run a store before?
No,
First shot?
yes. This is my husband and my daughter. We live on Wareham Street
Okay.
at 53. We bought a foreclosure 2 years ago. And so this is only like a block or so from our house.
Okay, all right. Pleasure of the board.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Good luck.
Thank you.
There you go, good luck. Vote to approve the Capeway Rovers annual motocross Sunday race dates, Sunday entertainment license and one-day liquor license as presented. We have to take these one at a time, I believe, Jackie?
Probably, or you could just say as presented.
The dates of the races have all been, there's no increase in numbers of dates? It's the same number of race dates as previously
Yes, sir.
for last year and the 10,000 years before that?
Right.
So let's start off with the, this will be the beer and wine license for David, what's your last name?
Payne.
Payne, okay, good. 633 Bedford Street, and this is going to be at Capeway Rovers, and this will be a beer and wine license, and this is during the races and the practice
The-
runs?
The weekend, all the races and the weekend practices,
Okay.
because the kitchen isn't open on the weekday practices.
Okay. Questions of the board? Pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, the list of race dates as presented. Pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. And again, there is no increase in the number of race
No,
dates.
sir.
The same race dates and practice dates.
20 races, 10 practices as per zoning.
Okay. All right. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. And this will be a license for public entertainment on Sunday for Capeway Rovers Motorcycle Club on dates stated. Questions of the board? Pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. Very good. I think that's it. Thank you very much, sir. That was easy. Unusually easy.
Don't jinx it.
I know. Next item on the agenda is a vote to borrow $1 million for wastewater treatment facility upgrade. This The payments for this will come out of the wastewater treatment fund?
Correct.
Wastewater
And
collections?
these are for the design services that we've been
Right.
procuring and paying bills for the last several months.
So we had 4 banks bid on this $1 million bond. Century Bank for 0.4%, Eastern Bank for 0.55%, Unibank for 0.65%, Hampton Bank for 0.75%. The bids awarded, subject to our approval, to Century Bank at 0.4%. Estimated interest for the whole, is this per year or for the whole thing? Really? $2,000?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what term it is, but, correct.
Okay. Pleasure of the board.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. We have a next item on the agenda is a vote to sign a purchase and sales agreement, Douglas Green to Middleborough, for a cross-street well site land exchange. And
This is one of several transactions necessary to complete the circle for the Cross Street well site. And in this particular case, the Greens were interested in swapping land with us. We had a similar sized parcel, near the parcel we needed. So we specifically put out an RFP to accomplish that. The board awarded that a number of months ago, and so now we have a P&S. Hopefully we'll be able to close on all the properties by the end of April.
And Dan Murray has reviewed the P&S.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We drafted them.
Questions of the board? Pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. Now this is a vote to sign the Middleborough to Douglas F. Green purchase and sale agreement for the Cross Street well site land exchange. And this is just the flip side of it.
Exactly right.
Questions of the board? Again, that purchase and sale has been through Dan Murray. Questions of the board? Pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. We have a next item on the agenda eventually. Will be a statement of interest for the Massachusetts School Building Authority. We seem to be signing about 15 of these a week.
Building like crazy.
That's
We're
it.
hoping to.
What would this be for?
Well, this is for, at February's meeting, we asked your approval for 4 statements of interest. 3 were for repair projects. We've submitted those, and we should be hearing by the beginning of April if our application's accepted. The statement of interest we brought for the high school for the core program, we did a little more research, and we thought that we would change our priorities, so we're going to include priority 1, which covers health and safety. Not that our building is on health or on safety, but unsafe. But things that are built today are different than how they were built before. And also the gym floor is bubbling and buckling, and it has a tripping hazard around the perimeter of the playing area. The handrails in the stairwell are have very wide spaces, which under today's code they wouldn't. So Dr. Weiss and I thought that this is our 5th attempt, and maybe if we raise a few more flags that we would be included in. So we're here to ask your approval to include priority 1 in the SOI. Again, you may waive the language of the vote, you don't have to read it, as long as it's included into the
Mr. Frawley will be very happy with that.
the
Thank you.
vote, into the minutes, and I will forward the words to Jackie.
Okay. Questions of the board?
If you want to read it, you go right ahead.
No, I delegate. I delegate.
It's 3 pages tonight.
Oh.
You usually pass it on to me, no.
So, questions of the board beyond reading skills? Pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, provided we don't have to read it. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you. I also have paperwork that we're filling out the closeout documents for the Mary Kay Good Window Project with the MSBA, and I have quite a few pieces of paper that require your signature.
Just mine?
Yes. So is it all right if I leave it with Jackie?
That would be
you
fine.
have
Yeah.
time to
You
sign
need
it?
that tomorrow?
Yes, please. All right?
That's fine. Thank you. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is to make zoning map modifications as requested by the Water Department. Charlie?
Mr. Chairman, again, these relate to the 2 wells that we've been assembling and getting ready to put online. We have to modify the zones for the Mazaris well. We have to add the zone for the Cross Street well, and we noticed that we have had on the map a potential well site off Tinkham Street and Taunton Street. And in reviewing that, we realized that, that no longer needs to be on the map because that's not on a site we're ever going to develop. It didn't prove to be productive. So we have a memo from our engineer, Richard Johnson, and he's prepared articles. He's run them by the planning board. They've assisted in the drafting of them. So this is just to formalize that we're going to submit this particular article to the planning board for a zoning modification.
Okay. Questions of the board? Pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is a vote from Town Clerk Allison, wherever, relative to the CPA project agreement for archival review.
Good evening, Allison Ferreira, Town Clerk. I have come before you this evening to request the board vote to sign an agreement for archival review services between the Town of Middleborough and King Information Systems. In 2012, I proposed a historic and vital records preservation project to the Community Preservation Committee. I applied for CPA funding for a 3-phase project. Phase 1 consisted of a vendor conducting a detailed assessment of our current filing and storage system for our historic and vital records within the bank building, town hall, police department, and fire department. Phase 1 was approved under Article 12 at the October 1st, 2012 special town meeting, and the assessment was conducted by King Information Systems in February of 2013. A detailed assessment was presented to the town manager, police chief, fire chief, and assessor appraiser on April 9th, 2013. I applied for CPA funding for the Phase 2 of this project in July of 2013. Phase 2 consisted of reboxing and indexing records in accordance with the Massachusetts Records Retention Schedule, establishing and maintaining a computerized indexing system within the town clerk's office, purchasing 21 sections of standard archival shelving, and implementing a subject filing system and purging old documents within the town clerk's office. Phase 2 was approved under Article 17 at the October 7th, 2013 special town meeting. In accordance with Chapter 30B, an invitation for bids for archival review services was posted, and a bid opening was conducted on February 24th, 2014. King Information System was the sole bidder to submit a bid to the town of Middleborough. The town manager, acting in his capacity as Chief Procurement Officer, awarded the bid to King Information Systems, and the agreement has been executed by King as the contractor, and needs to be signed by the Board of Selectmen prior to the project commencement date, which is scheduled for March 17th, 2014. This agreement has been reviewed and approved by Town Council. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the Community Preservation Committee, Historical Commission, Finance Committee, all town department heads, members of the Board of Selectmen, and my staff for all their support in moving this project forward. Do you have any questions?
Questions of the board?
So you're ready to go.
It's part 2 of the 3-part program.
Yes. And-
Pleasure of the board.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just a quick comment. Community is not just our buildings, it's our history, it's our identity. So I'm very pleased to see the CPA funding being used for this project.
Thank you.
I'm happy to move this forward.
Thank you so much. We are too. Very pleased.
Okay. Any other
Mr. Chair,
questions? Yes.
keep up the good work, Allison.
Thank you.
And try to be a little bit more prepared when you come to the meetings.
I will do my best. And just so you know, Phase 3 will consist of, we're looking at updating the climate control within the vault,
Right.
which needs to take place after we get moving forward. And then also, we're going to work on scanning and digitizing documents and microfilming.
Good.
Looking
Excellent.
for other forms of funding for that as well, outside of CPA funding.
Okay.
Okay?
Excellent. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? You guys have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, running a little ahead, and one of the things we were going to do is have the town accountant give us a 6-month financial report as part of his budget, but maybe we could have him do that first and catch up to the agenda.
We're
on
at
time.
7:33.
No.
We're, oh, I'm sorry, we have to,
This is,
we're gonna continue the hearing?
yeah, continuing.
Yeah,
Oh.
you're getting a little ahead of yourself,
I
Charlie.
did, I got it, I missed that one.
Your anxiety is creeping in there. So-
So,
Yeah, the applicant was trying to get everything ready. We've made good progress. I'm confident that Monday it'll be ready to vote.
Okay.
But they just couldn't get everything done for tonight and asked for a 1-week continuance.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to continue the earth removal hearing till next Monday night.
So moved.
Second.
To 7:30 on the 17th?
7:30 on the 17th?
Right. No, I don't think we're going to need what's on the agenda now on the 17th.
Okay. Very good. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? You guys have it. Now, Charlie, you were saying something about?
But we thought we'd take the opportunity, since Steve is here for a budget hearing, to have him give you a 6-month financial report, which you have in your packets, and, he's ready to deliver.
Yeah, Steve, please, come right up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This is the finance report through December 31st. You should have 2 spreadsheets, one's revenue, one's expenditures. Through December 31st, we are showing some strength in collections with regards to the same time frame last year. So it's a good indication that we are doing a lot better in the first
Steve,
6 months.
Can you hold on one second?
Sure.
Maybe I'm missing something, but does anybody else have these?
It's hearings.
Oh, it's on the real one.
The real
Oh,
one,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
It's on the iPad, it's still under hearings, it's after the earth removal information. And after my budget.
Right, just
No.
touch. Go away, go away. Oh, my God.
Okay, I'm sorry. We'd just like to kind of be on the same page, so. All right, everybody see what we're looking for here?
Yeah.
Close?
With regarding to revenue then, we're showing some strength in collections with regards to the same time last year. Highlighted items on the revenue would be motor vehicle, permits, investment interest, Motor vehicle would be, I think it's mostly commitments related to last year that we're collecting this year. Permits, all permits, building, wire, are all showing strength. And investment interest, we are actually getting a better rate this year. We do expect to exceed the budgetary forecast for FY14. On the expenditure side, everything looks really good. We like to see it around 50% expended or lower. Anything approach or a higher percent is concerning. Our expenditures are in great shape at this time. The only 3 notable departments are park, which is seasonable, debt service, which we paid most of the general obligations in November, and unclassified, we paid the liability, property liability up front, and Bristol Plymouth is 3/4, the bill has already been paid. So things are in really good shape for the first 6 months of the year, FY14.
And how do you figure snow's going to hit us this year? Snow removal.
What do we think, of $300,000 in the, I think in the red right now, to date, not including next Wednesday. Hopefully it's rain.
Next Wednesday's going to be rain.
Yeah, that's good.
Sign, would you bring that letter over and I'll sign it? That we're going to have rain on Wednesday? I hope. All right, so financially, we're looking fairly stable now.
Fairly stable, a lot better than we were 6 months last year, this time.
Good. That's good news. Questions of the board? Okay. Can we...
So can we, if you'd like, I'll put the budgets on the screen as we go through them. If you would, I see Mr. Murray's here if you want to. I'm sure the Finance Committee will join us shortly, but I know they have another appointment that they're in the middle of.
Thank you. Watch out for that poll, Steve. We just put that in last week. We should have left the table there. Probably wouldn't have lost the town
That's why I would
account.
have kept him away from the poll.
Mr. Murray, would you like to present your law budget?
I think you didn't turn it on. I think you...
It's blinking. Battery noise.
It's working, it's happening.
All I did was press a button. I can do
Laptop
that.
1, laptop 2, video.
Yeah, in the room too, that's right. There we go.
Mr. Chairman,
Good
board
evening.
members, good evening.
How are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
It's great. Okay.
The law department proposed budget has 3 components, and it's been the same 3 components for a number of years, to wit, the legal salary, legal costs, and special counsel. And though the amounts requested this year are the same as which were appropriated last year at the town meeting. A word about the special counsel feature. That's sort of an X factor. The amount that we put in there seems to have been appropriate over the past couple of years, although in previous years there have been occasions where we've had to supplement that part of the budget at the Springtown meeting. But as I say, it seems to be working out well so far this year. We seem to be on target.
Do you see anything on the horizon that could be problematic for us?
I don't know of any cases now. You're aware that the largest part of the special counsel budget is for the personnel labor council. A number of years ago, the board elected to put the appropriation for that service in the law budget instead of in your own board budget. So that's why you see the bulk of that appropriation is used for personnel,
Okay.
labor council.
Questions of the board members? None? Okay, Mr. Murray, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Good evening.
Appreciate it. Enjoyed working with you. Jump to zoning.
Chairman, I gave Mr. Atwood the night off. I told him I'd take care of his budget for him, so...
Yeah, but just said that to me.
I would have liked seeing Bruce.
Page 30. Well, I got an inquiry about whether or not it was necessary for him to be here, and I said, well, unless Mr. Atwood wants to get out tonight, he doesn't have to. So. The zoning budget is almost entirely for their part-time clerical staff, and a small budget for postage, a small budget for office and stationery. Hasn't changed very much in a number of years.
Basically, it's just the step increases.
Yeah, whatever increase that goes along with it.
Any questions relative to the zoning budget?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I attended a few meetings on the ZBA over the past couple of years, and Charlie, could you just explain to everybody how, like Mr. Whitten, the counsel for the ZBA, how does he get paid?
He gets paid out of the special counsel account.
Oh, he does? I thought the applicants.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes applicants pay. If I understand the reasoning in the High Point case was that it was not something that they discussed with the applicant up front. So they didn't feel that they could then ask for that to be paid after the fact. But certainly in a number of cases, counsel does get paid by the applicant.
Most cases.
You know, I can't say because I don't observe the zoning board that often. I would say more often than not that probably the answer is yes. Huh. But I think it was a unique situation where usually they discuss it, early on with the applicant about paying their legal costs. The applicant agrees, and then they move forward. In this case, for whatever reason, that wasn't done, and my understanding is they, as you probably heard the other night in discussing the draft decision, they didn't feel comfortable adding that to the decision.
But I wasn't bringing up that case in particular, but since you have, like there was a study done, an impact study.
Yeah, they agreed to pay. Yeah, they agreed
right,
that was discussed with them in advance. They agreed to pay for it, and they paid for it.
All right, beautiful. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions about zoning budget? Well, FinCom is tied up still.
Yeah, we're still running a little ahead of schedule, but there's no harm in
we have
people who are here.
We've got town clerk sitting here.
Well, we have the town accountant next.
Town accountant?
After the planning board. Maybe we can just keep going down the schedule, just pass over who's not here.
Town accountant still here?
Still there.
Watch that poll.
I'm going right.
Okay.
This one's on page 7.
It is a level-funded budget as requested by the town manager. I did, however, in the last few years, I did ask for additional funding, obviously well aware of the budget constraints, but I did ask for that. That would be just the bring the clerk back to full-time. It's I think it's $2,900, and that would be just relating to the warrants. The emphasis would be on the volume of invoices we're doing weekly. The CPA is up and running and really starting to move now. Capital projects really increased in the last 4 years or so. So that would be the reason for the increase in additional.
How many hours a week does she work now?
She is at 34. I'm looking at 36.25, which would be full-time.
All right. We're not going to vote on any extra things. You understand? We're just trying to stick to the straight line until we get the word from the Boston and all of our other funds that are supposedly coming to us, hopefully, or not being taken from us, should I say. All right, pleasure. Yes, Chairman. Well, you act like one. So.
I know I act like one. I have a question, if I may, Mr. Chair,
Sure,
through
go
you. If we move that employee from part-time to full-time, does that affect the benefits that we're paying
Does
for
not.
them?
No.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Mr.
Any
Chair,
other questions? Yes, go ahead.
can you explain, you said the increase in the workload is because of the addition of the community preservation. Wouldn't that increase fall under their cost and not yours?
Any project that's done through there would come through our office, the bills would be paid through our office, all the accounting would be done through our office. So a lot of that would, you know, the warrants, the invoices, all that stuff on projects would come through our office.
Okay.
Charlie, is there any way of transferring any of the CPA administrative fund money?
Well, you know, it's an interesting question. I was thinking of that as we were discussing it. You know, we don't, unlike the way we do handle enterprise funds, where they make a contribution toward things like Steve was saying, our administration. We don't do that with the CPA. I'm not sure if there's anything that says we can't, but we haven't. Maybe that's a discussion we have with them and see if there's something that they would be willing to contribute for those types of services.
I mean, we're not talking, we wouldn't be talking a lot of money.
No, I can't imagine, but.
But there is I think the CPA fund, if I'm not mistaken, does allow for an administrative fee.
In its own
15%.
fund, yeah, in its own fund. I'm not so sure I saw literature on transferring it to another department. I could read up on that, though. But there is administrative fund in
I'm
its
sure
own.
they're gonna.
Yeah.
We'd like to get two opinions, though, knowing one opinion isn't always the best way to see it. Okay, any other questions of the town accountant? Nothing else?
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
guys.
Your numbers look good. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, guys.
All right, watch out for that pole.
Yeah.
Trying to help. Nobody from planning boards here yet? Assessors? Come on down.
It's page 10.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So you are level funded this year?
Yes, except for I have two people that are getting step increases. But other than that, it's level funded, yes.
You are not asking for anything extra this year?
No?
The, is this the year you're doing one of the more major assessments of the town?
We just finished with our recertification year for fiscal 2014, so we're doing interim year adjustments for the next 2 years.
Okay, so there's no big outlay of money for extra assessing?
No, the only thing that we usually do extra on interim year adjustments is our personal property. We have a company that comes out and does all the new businesses, but that money was actually put in with the article for the revaluation this time,
Okay.
so that we didn't have to carry it in our budget.
All right. Questions of the board? Mr. Quell?
You did have a jump this past year in your travel, your printing, and your stationery, so I guess the first thing is, has your office supply cost gone up, or are you just using more of it?
Actually, we had about 3 calculators that died on us. in the office. I just got rid of mine that I wasn't happy about because I've had it for over 20 years. But we have had some additional expenses in office and stationery that we don't normally have. The in-state travel covers all of our meetings and classes and that. And I have myself and one other that have our MAA designation that we have to maintain. And I do have some of my staff that does attend, like clerks' meetings and stuff like that, to learn new laws and that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions of the board?
Mr. Chairman, we have a piece of correspondence in this week's correspondence from the town of Dartmouth relating to a classification matter, and I was wondering if you allow Barbara to comment on that while she's here, because I know Mr. Quell had a question about it, so I thought take the opportunity, since we have Barbara here, to find out about it.
Well, I mean, it's more of an idea at this point. You know, it stemmed from Dartmouth, and I'd certainly like to get everybody's professional feedback, starting with yourself. You know, when you just be blunt and be honest, what do you think of that idea? I mean, it seems like it could be as good as it is dangerous.
Well, it's actually something that came about in 1993, and at the time, back in '96, I did an analysis for the Board of Selectmen that were here, whether or not it was something that they wanted to look into doing. They had some concerns about, well, let me tell you about some of the concerns that they had. One was that the business itself is what qualifies the property for the exemption. So if a property is under $1 million and it has less than 10 employees, then it can qualify for a small commercial exemption. But if you look at like our downtown area where we have some small multi-tenant buildings, a lot of those owners don't live in town, but they own the business that has maybe 4 stores in it. Those tenants that are in those in that building are the ones that are going to qualify that owner for that exemption. But that owner is not required to pass those savings on to that small business. That was one of the things that came about even the last time, is that it doesn't always, work to the benefit of the small business. The other thing is that at the time we didn't really, we didn't know if anything that was under 61A, the small farms, smaller cranberry growers, in that if they would qualify for the exemption on top of the tax break that they're already getting. And I did at that time write to the Department of Revenue and got an opinion from them that yes, they would qualify. So in this case, if the town decided or the selectmen decided to adopt it, and it is something that has to be adopted annually, then they would get their tax break from being under classification of 61A, and they would also get that 10% small exemption, commercial exemption. What it does is it just basically shifts the tax burden to the other commercial and industrial properties. A community that has a split rate like we do, you end up with 3 tax rates. You end up with the residential rate, you end up with a commercial and industrial rate, taking into consideration that small commercial exemption, and then you also end up with a personal property tax rate because personal property is not part of the equation on that. One of the other things that I had read up on when Charlie had talked to me earlier today is that they're very specific about what you have to show on the tax bill. So if the town was going to do that, I believe that you'd have to be looking into a program change for the tax bills. They want you to show the full value of the property. They want you to show the excuse me, the small commercial exemption, and then the total taxable valuation. So that's something that we currently don't do right now, and I don't believe that we have the ability to do that right now.
So it seems like, if I understand you right, the only communities that this would really be a win for everybody is where you'd have enough large businesses that can pick up the slack on this.
Yes. I did check on the Department of Revenue's website before I came in tonight, and there are, out of 351 communities, there's only 9 that have this small commercial exemption.
Any similarities to those 9?
I don't know. I just was trying to get a community count. I mean, I can certainly take a look at the communities in that, but I think what you're saying is correct. You need to have enough other larger businesses to be able to
Right.
absorb that, because if you have we have a lot of smaller businesses here, but if you have a smaller business that has 11 or 12 employees, then they're not going to qualify for the exemption, so they're going to be picking up.
And as far as like your employee count, like I know there's a lot of banks in Dartmouth. So if you're, even a community bank may have 6 or 7 locations, not necessarily all in Dartmouth. So how do they calculate all your employees? Is it by your corporation count or just those who work in that specific location?
No, it's the total of the business. So, for instance, for a bank, you know, if you looked at Rockland Trust, for instance,
Right.
you would be looking at the total of all of their employees, not just the bank that's in Middleborough.
Okay.
So that would bump out most, you know, anything like that. Dunkin' Donuts is another one.
No, yeah.
You know, places like that.
So I can see Dartmouth's attraction to this, but then again, that's Dartmouth. So I think it's specific. You look at each community's makeup. I certainly understand your concern there. You're sort of shifting it onto where.
Yeah.
Where are all these larger businesses? They're going to be willing to absorb that.
And if it's something that the board is interested in getting more information, I certainly can put something together for you to take a look at and, you know, just kind of see how many businesses. I mean, we get the listing every year from the Department of Labor and whatever it's called. But, you know, when I looked through that, there were 234 businesses listed on there, but a lot of them are exempt properties that don't get taxed anyway. So, you know, I don't know how many of that 234 are actual businesses. And if they're not on the list, if they're a sole proprietor or a partnership, and they're not on the list, then it's up to the Board of Assessors to get the information and determine whether or not they qualify for the exemption.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for explaining that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay.
Any other
Thank you.
questions? Comments?
Thank you very much.
Still nobody from planning, huh? Save a lot of money. Town clerk? Page 19. Welcome back.
Good evening again. So I've come before you this evening to present 2 budgets for fiscal year 2015. The first budget is the town clerk's budget, department number 161. The first line item within the town clerk's budget, account number 511101, you'll notice is at a 0 amount, which is the regular pay clerical full-time position. That position is currently vacant. The second line item represents the regular pay clerical part-time position, account number 511104. This position is currently funded for 25 hours per week. Since I became town clerk in 2011, I have come before the board and requested this position be reinstated to a full-time 40-hour position. The town clerk's office is unable to adequately serve the public without full-time staffing. The clerk is unable to fully perform her duties, which are a necessity to the operation of the town clerk's office. The clerk is unable to fully perform her duties, and her primary duties include waiting on customers, answering phones, maintaining and updating the dog licensing and business certificate programs, posting official meeting postings to the town website, conducting genealogy research, and assisting with elections and town meetings. Proper staffing within our office is essential as we have a significant amount of interaction with the public and critical deadlines to meet. The staffing level in fiscal year 2014 was inadequate, resulting in our office being staffed by only 1 employee on several occasions. This severely impacts our customer service, and reinstating the clerk's position to a full-time 40-hour position will improve functionality and allow the office to better serve the needs of our residents and visitors. All the other line items within the town clerk's budget are level-funded requests. The second budget, unless you want to ask me any questions on the town clerk budget, the second budget I am presenting to you this evening is the elections and registration budget, Department number 162. The anticipated election schedule for fiscal year 2015 is as follows. We will have a state primary to be held September 9th, 2014. The state election will be held November 4th, 2014, and the annual town election to be held on April 4th, 2015. I have adjusted the elections and registration budget in accordance with similar election years held in 2013 and 2008, taking into consideration the additional funding required for maintenance and programming costs associated with voting equipment. It is imperative to have the proper funding in the elections and registration budget to adequately staff polls during elections and to provide coverage for our town meetings. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the election officers, Board of Registrars, town departments, and especially my staff for all their hard work and dedication throughout the year. Do you have any questions on either budget?
On your town clerk budget, no. On
Okay.
your, the registrar's budget, we've talked a bit about new polling equipment, and that's in the works. We're not ready to bring it in-house yet, but.
Right. We have actually at a town meeting that was before I was appointed, I'm the town clerk, there's $45,000 that's been appropriated at a town meeting in the past. That's been put aside and rolled over each year for voting equipment. There were new voting equipment that the state is in the process of certifying, and it looks as though that may be as soon as June, from what I'm being told. There are 2 different machines that they're looking at certifying that will actually take a scanned image of the ballot. So this will be something that will allow people to feel a lot more comfortable knowing that their ballots are actually being scanned. This is why I didn't buy used equipment. We've talked about there was used equipment that we could have purchased in the past, but we held out to wait for the new equipment. They're going to be having a few sessions at various municipalities, so we have the opportunity to view these new machines. And I think it'd probably be in our best interest to kind of let a couple people go in ahead of us. Let's not be the guinea pigs, and let's see how these machines operate. So if we were to actually use one of these machines and the September 9th primary, my understanding is the board would have to take a vote and send a letter into the Secretary of the Commonwealth by June 9th. So I think that we'd be moving very quickly, after the time of certification. So I think if we held off till next year, at least I think we'll be in better shape. And that way there I can get a better understanding of which machine. My understanding is both machines are the same. We just have to have competitive vendors. So we have 2 vendors. Right now we're going to wait and see. I think they're both the same price. I'm being told they're $7,000 a piece. So we'll have enough to have the amount of voting equipment we would need, but I actually put in something through the capital plan where we would request to have 1 backup machine if we do go forward, because we've always had a backup machine, which is very helpful.
That $45,000 wouldn't cover?
It wouldn't cover.
No.
It wouldn't cover, no. It would cover the amount we would need for every precinct, but it would take us to about $42,000 because we have 6 precincts, so it wouldn't fully cover. But I put it in the capital plan to have 1 backup machine, not for this fiscal year, but the following, in the event that we purchase these new machines.
Yeah, I don't see any reason to rush.
I don't either, no, I really.
To have 1 precinct doing it a different way would be.
Right, right. No, but I think these machines going forward will be a lot better, and it's not going to require as much maintenance. I think we'll be very happy with them. I just want to have the summer to kind of go through and make sure we make the right decision.
Right.
That's why we've held off this long.
Okay. Board members? Questions? None?
Well, when they scan these ballots, they're counting at the same time?
Yes, it'll go through, so as you're putting the ballot through, my understanding, it takes a scanned image. So it takes a little longer for the ballot to go through than you see in a typical machine now. So I've been told about 7 seconds.
Not that we're ever waiting on your office, but I'm saying, would that, in the future, does that lead to a quicker results presentation once the clock, the buzzer goes off and then everybody, okay.
Well, that would be my hope, but still, the official results are,
Right.
you're
But
receiving the unofficial no matter what. We still have to certify those votes, so whatever comes out of the machine,
Is what it
I think we're
is,
pretty
so.
rapid now as far as what we give in
Oh, well,
feedback.
yeah, like I said, we've
Yeah.
never waited, I mean, we've never waited on you. Some towns, though, a lot smaller than us, we're waiting on
Yeah.
forever, and I won't go into that. But,
Yep.
but I mean, in the future, if towns really get on board with this really
Mhm.
very quickly, we could have
The unofficial results
unofficial
immediately.
statewide
Right.
results. Okay, great.
Right. I know some people are even working, other communities are working on where they actually have something on their iPad that they get the immediate results
Mhm.
sent to their iPad too. So that's the way it can, the problem with us is we have, 4 polling locations, 6 precincts. So can't be everywhere at once. A lot of the municipalities that can get back to you sooner have 1 polling location where the town clerk is there for the day. So it makes it a little easier. But we do the best we can. I think we've changed things around quite a bit to improve that,
I think
getting the results.
There's been no problems. And
Right.
the one election, one of your first elections, you had a recount, and it worked out perfectly.
Right.
So,
We survived that, yep.
You know,
We had 2
that's
recounts.
That's testimony to your team.
Right.
You and your team, you did doing a great job over there.
Everybody is a team player, and it's a team effort, definitely.
Not that they have any choice with you, but.
That's right.
Any other questions of the town clerk? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, nobody from planning? Conservation?
I believe they're in the finance committee, so perhaps we could move on to the
Treasurer?
treasurer.
Treasurer collector?
It's page 12.
Something I said. Good
Hello.
evening.
Hi. How are you? Well, the first budget we have is the treasurer collector's budget, and basically it is level funded except for in the contractual increases within the salaries.
Step increases, yeah. Okay.
So there's 6 full-time clerical people in the clerical budget in that line item.
One of the changes you've done in your department this year is the
Yes.
electronic payments,
Yes.
electronic bills and electronic payments. Has that
Yes,
been?
the online. We changed the online. We did have online banking, bill paying before. However, we've changed to a new service, and this way they can actually get online billing. You can sign up for e-billing in addition. It's still a work in progress. We have the utility up and running, we have the motor vehicle up and running, and real estate should be going on April 1st.
What's been the reaction to the folks? Have they been signing up for e-billing?
Well, you have to, when you first go in, it basically says you're signed up for e-billing unless you check off that you're not. Of course, people don't like that, and which I don't blame them. And we got a few calls and concerns about that, but we did tell them, unless you actually check it, you get an email sent to you saying you have to confirm it, that you want e-billing. So you wouldn't just get it even if you didn't check off that you didn't want it. Other than that, it's some getting used to a transition, I think, because people were now more familiar with the other website we had with Unibank. And now the new one is going to take they just have to get used to it. They will be able to tie in all their accounts, but they do have to register each account, like your water, your utility bill rather, and your motor vehicle, and your real estate. The first time you go in, you have to register each bill, each type of bill, so they'll all connect to one account. And then after that, when they go back in, they'll be able to see all their accounts. And you'll be able to see your activity you know, payments, the date it was posted and whatnot, and the history of the account. So I think eventually, in the long run, once everything is up and running, people will like it much better, because they don't have to call us now and ask us what they paid in taxes when it's tax time.
Right.
You know, they could actually go in and pull up all their own information.
Okay. Right. One of the tasks in your department, I think, is tracking the sick time, overtime.
Yes.
Sick time, holidays, so forth and so on, for all of the
It is.
employees of the town. How is that program working out?
Well, it's working well for a while until we hit year end, and then things went haywire just because of the way the calendar year ended. So at this point, we had to go in and make numerous changes come the first of the year, because it threw everything off whack. Because when you end the calendar year, for IRS purposes, for the W-2s, we had to end the third week in December, because the third week's payment is the last paycheck that you're going to receive in the fourth week in December. So that last week actually got rolled into the computer systems, looking at it as that's the last week in the old year, it's the first week in the new year, and it wasn't. So it threw everything off kilter. So we had to go in and adjust, send out a notice to all the departments, ask them to resubmit the figures, recheck their figures, because now we had to change their the sick time accrual, and the vacation time was messed. It was not doing well. Also, the personal time has not worked for quite some time. And it's to do with the way the contracts are written. So we have basically Charlie, the town manager, myself, Tara from IT have all met, and we are now looking into seeing if there could be a new program that we won't continually have these problems with.
I would think that in a day and age where computer programs are a dime a dozen out there, although it might not be 10 cents for the program.
Yeah.
But we're not the only one that ever decided, gee, this is probably a good idea to track this.
Yes.
So there's got to be a program somewhere that will do this.
And we currently have formed a committee now to look into that, and I am sending out an email to all the treasure collectors to see what they're using, and if they have one that works well for them. Because this one, the program we had would be good if it worked, because it ties right into the payroll. However, if we do get a new system, it won't necessarily tie right into our payroll. It'll track it, but the IT department also looked into a program that you actually, the employee, we could upload it to a website, and people could actually go in there and see all their information, days used, days accrued, and whatnot. So, but we're still looking into that.
The company I work for just recently changed over from one payroll program to another.
Yes.
That's a joyous experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, it makes you wish these didn't happen, but
yeah,
the end result is it's better, but there's more functionality that we're not using yet, we will be using in the future, and part of it is also tracking time, which for our company is a lot, not as complex as it is for the town.
Well, with all the contracts, it is quite, you know.
Right. But like I say,
but we are working on it, and we have updated it, and we will maintain it. I mean, we've made all the corrections. The corrections have been made since the end of January. We made all the changes to get everyone up to par, but we're just afraid that, you know, something else will come up again at some point and throw it all off. So in the meantime, we are going to maintain it on the present system until we can find a better one that will work.
The other concern is always the possibility of having to change over the whole finance system.
Well, and that's one of the things that, we are going to form a committee to look at, is that, because I think we acknowledge that eventually we're going to switch packages. We've gotten 24 years out of this one, we've, got our money's worth. But it's older. As we discovered with this one module, it's very inflexible. I can't tell you the number of hours that Judy and her staff and Para have put into making this module work, and at our last meeting we came to the conclusion we weren't going to flog it anymore. It was never going to work to our satisfaction that we would be comfortable turning it on and putting that information out to the employees. We're tracking it, we have it now, and we'll maintain it, but it's just not reliable enough. So now we have to find, I think in the interim, something that will allow us to do what we've always wanted to do, which is to report that information to our employees. But also, looking forward, we ultimately will, go to a different financial package, no doubt. Try to identify what's out there, what we might find acceptable, and then, figure out, when we could finance, buying it and acquiring it, and then going through the painful conversion that you're talking about from one package to another. So we're looking at doing two different things. One, for the accrual of time, trying to get something that we rely on, and then looking forward longer term, what's our future for a financial package, for a collection package, for all the components that we use on a day-to-day basis.
Questions of the board members? No questions? Comments?
We have the next budget.
On page 87.
Okay.
87.
The next budget we have is the debt budget. Currently, well, this year, it's something new in the debt budget. We're actually putting the WPAT maturing principal within the debt budget. We used to have a separate article for that. However, now we're just going to put it in the debt budget, which it really, no major change. Other than that, we're going to carry it. We won't have a special article for it. We are anticipating doing a bond issue in the fall of 2014. Some of the increases in the budget here are due to that bond issue because we're going to have interest payments on the new bond issue plus interest on the notes coming due in the fall. But other than that...
Are all of the bond issues merged together in here? So
yes.
Because we have...
They are.
Here we have the wastewater.
Yes, water,
treatment
wastewater,
plant.
and the landfill stuff. Debt is in there, the general debt, the school debt.
Okay.
All the debt is within.
So we only owe 49 million?
That's it. No, that's 4,904,200.
You don't put decimal points in.
Well, I didn't.
You have a decimal point
Listen,
counter
I
thing?
didn't do this. I had to blow it up bigger so I could see it.
This is the aforementioned financial package.
Yeah, this is that great financial package.
They save money by not using commas. Huh?
Yes, believe me. I know. I was looking at it like...
Well, I got your attention anyway. That's
Yes.
good.
Although we do owe millions, but we only owe $4 million next year, $4,900,000.
What is our total debt? Is that on here somewhere?
No. You would
Do we
ask
not
me
want to
that.
hear that?
I don't know off the top of my head what it is.
Oh.
Do you know?
I don't, I have a file on my desk, but I don't have it in front of me.
I know, I don't either, but it's considerable.
We'll let you know on Wednesday.
Yeah.
A non-televised segment?
No, we're televising
All right.
All right, so we pay $4,900,000 a year, and right now?
Yes, right now.
But there's a couple of looming items that will be out there.
Yes.
However, one of those is paid out of the wastewater.
Yes. Yes.
fund itself.
Yes.
Still paid by
the
the
upgrade on the
homes.
septic system, yes. The two, well, right now, we have the 2.5 million authorized on that, plus another 400,000, I believe.
Right.
3.9 million, I mean, 2.9 million. And that will be bonded in the fall, along with equipment. We have several equipment articles, different
Right.
remodeling at the schools and that type of thing.
On the bond that we do for Title V home improvements,
Yes.
we borrow a couple of $100,000 a year for
Yes.
that?
That is the payment that I was talking about, that we put into this budget, the WPAT maturing principal. It's the fourth item down. It's
Right.
$121,733.
We borrow money for that fund,
Yes.
and then that fund gets repaid.
And we collect it, and we
Right.
vote it to offset this payment.
Do we want to borrow a larger amount so we don't run into the cost factors of borrowing smaller amounts? Would it be cost efficient to borrow a larger amount?
We had met with the WPAT, back in November, I believe, the town manager, myself, the health department, because the health department actually expends all these funds through the septic betterment repair. And we did suggest that the health department we should be asking town meeting for about $400,000 a year as opposed to the $200,000. However, this does not cost us that much really for bonding expenses, the septic betterment. It costs about $2,000 to do the bonding. I mean, to do the bonding each year, because we're only paying bond counsel to review it. The state charges us nothing. We pay no interest costs, we pay no issuance costs, we pay nothing other than bond counsel to review it. However, I do still think it's better that we do the $400,000 just because it's less paperwork. We can get it authorized and get the projects moving faster. So, and they seem to have no problem repairing more septic, systems in town. So,
Which is very important if the
Yes.
septic, if they need them repaired, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
And it helps keep our groundwaters a little bit cleaner. Okay, any comments or questions from the board members?
I thought we did decide we were going to borrow less.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
You see, there's an
We're gonna-
article for $400,000 springtime.
All right.
But a piece of good news relating to debt that Julie wants to share with you.
oh, I forgot all about that.
You forgot about the good news.
Yeah, I forgot about the good news. We got a rate increase from Standard & Poor's on Friday. We went from, we had a review, the town of Middleborough, from a AA negative to a AA. So in borrowing terms, when we go to borrow money, it's about 15 basis points. So,
Well, excellent.
which will be good when we go to the bond market in the
And
fall.
What drove that? What pushed us from one level to the
Well,
to
there
the
were-
higher level?
They submit questions for me to answer, in the town to answer, and, what is your, fund balance? Of course, we told them we put $1 million into the stabilization fund. We've started our OPB trust fund. I'm trying to think of some other things. But basically, it's all your financial reporting, whatever, they want to know about the values and that they've stopped declining and that they've leveled out and that type of thing. And basically financial, they want to know all your financial.
But because we put some money into savings for future obligations.
Yes, and because,
That helps.
you balance the budgets and
Right.
we've kept the health insurance costs down. That also helped the OPEB, the unfunded liability there, because as your costs go down, your unfunded liability goes down.
Right. Good. Excellent. So we're now AA.
We're AA. We're heading for triple, hopefully, someday.
I don't know, this year we'll probably, sorry.
In fact, I could, I'll forward a copy of the whole report to Jackie, and she can distribute
Okay.
it to you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions relative to debt service? Okay. Employee fringe benefits? Can you? Yes.
Suzanne Dubé, 79 Plimpton Street, member of Finance Committee, asking as a private citizen. So how much money did the debt upgrade save the town?
Well, it really won't, it'll save us when we go to borrow again. It doesn't save us on the previous issues,
So what was-
unless we refinanced it. And at this point in time, it cannot be called in to be refinanced.
Okay.
So we have nothing to refinance at this moment.
What was the rate? What was the rate that we had and the new rate?
Well, it's a new, that's hard to say, because there's a, you go out to market, each time you go out to market, they'll state a rate at that time for that
Yeah.
particular sale.
Right.
We just had a sale on a note for $1 million, but that was a short-term note. Let's put it this way. Say if we went out for a bond issue and they bid 2%, with a double negative A rating, it would actually be 1.85%. So earlier tonight, I had mentioned when we were at the forecast meeting, something like the police station, say if they went forward and borrowed that, I mean, it's a considerable amount of money, and you'd probably save $250,000 to $300,000 over the course of the bond issue with that kind of a reduction.
So the belt tightening we did, the insurance work that Charlie and all of the folks that work for the town have done and agreed to, has given us the ability of possibly being able to borrow a significant amount of money at a few $100,000 cheaper than we could have.
Yes, yes. And it will continue to save you each year, as long as we keep our rating, you know. And of course, like I said, they review us at least once a year, but when we go out to bond in the fall, they'll review all our financial information again at that time.
Okay. So no other questions relative to debt service? Okay. Employee fringe benefits?
Okay, employee fringe benefits. Where do we go? The workers' comp, we factored in a 5% increase. Unemployment, we left level because we haven't seen much change in that. We'll skip over the health insurance for a minute. The increase was minimal to FICA because there's not a lot of, as long as there's no huge increases in salary, your FICA pretty much stays the same. And the retirement, that was an 8% increase over last year. And you might want to speak to that, Charlie. Did you want to say anything?
No, it was, you know, an 8% increase is, you know, higher than normal, but it was an unusual year. Hopefully going forward, it's not that high.
This is Plymouth County?
Right.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll stay at, not 8% increases,
Right.
but it'll level out. And the health insurance budget actually decreased. Of course, as you know, going to the GIC has reduced our health insurance anticipated cost for this year.
So they only increased?
Overall, it was 1%. We've got about a 3% increase built in here because actually Fallon's increase was a little over 3%.
Okay.
We expect a lot of our people to go to Fallon, but until we have open enrollment, we really don't know.
Right.
So this is still an estimate.
So we still have to really hedge our bet on that?
I'm sorry?
We still have to hedge our bet on that?
Yeah, exactly.
Put in a higher amount?
Right.
No. Okay. But it's not
But it's still a lot
bad
less
old
than it's
days of
been.
8 and 9%.
Exactly. These are the kind of increases that we can absorb.
Right. Question? Yes?
Mr. Chair, if I may. What is the county asking for as of now for the retirement?
Well, they took a vote earlier in the year to maintain an 8% increase for the next several years. I think that's too high. So, you know, I'm hopeful that maybe going forward, especially after last year, which was a very good investment year, the fund should have grown considerably. That when they look at it again, they'll maybe scale that back. You know, typically it's 4% in the second year of a 2-year cycle. So.
But we have an 8% worked in here, you said?
Yeah, well, it's definitely 8% for FY15. That's not going to change. That was voted. That's what that budget number represents. You know, for FY16, there should be some more discussion about what that increase should be.
Mr. Chair, just to follow up on that, so what was the unusual, what was their rationale for the 8% jump?
Well,
Since the market did well?
the use of new actuarial tables, which, you know, with people living longer, that increased our liability and therefore increased our contribution to the system. So as I said earlier, it was an unusual set of circumstances. I can understand that in this case, but it shouldn't be something that we have to pay every year.
Okay. Any other questions of board members? Any other questions? Okay. And unclassified.
Unclassified.
So that's on page 89.
The only thing that really went up was the Bristol Plymouth assessment. That went up $256,000. And I believe, and also the property and liability. The property and liability portion of it, we had budgeted at $378, plus we have $80,000, a little over $80,000 for the fire and police medical liability. We pay that instead of workers' comp for fire and police. So we put in a 5% increase on the property and liability and a 3% increase on the fire, police and fire portion of it for their liability insurance. And that was the only changes, I believe, in the unclassified for the year.
Okay.
Everything else is level.
Questions of the board relative to unclassified? Any other questions of the treasurer collector? Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Nobody from planning? Conservation Commission?
No, I think
No,
we're
I'm
back to
sorry,
the
Finance Commission. Finance Committee, I'm sorry. I missed the Finance Committee. Where'd they go? Did I scare them away? If you don't have your hall pass, you're going to have to serve another 3 years. It did.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Rich Pavadori of the Finance Committee. And you have our budget in front of you, I guess, or?
Actually, we don't.
We don't have too much there to go through.
Deny it.
This is the fiscal year 15 requested from the Finance Committee that was voted our last meeting, I think, February 10th. Basically, we have the personnel line item, which is one person, our part-time secretary, office and stationery, and printing, which pretty much adds up to printing our budget book for the town meeting. In-state travel is we put $100 in there the last few years. Every year we get a few new committee members who go to the MMA meetings to learn about the Finance Committee, and it just pays for them to go to that meeting, or basically it offsets it. I think it's a little more than that. So they pay a little out of their own pocket, and we give them we have $100 for that, and the $265 is the MMA annual dues. That is basically our budget.
Any questions of the Finance Committee Chair? Yes.
Good evening, Mr. Pavadori.
Good evening.
I don't know if you heard, but we just went from AA negative to AA in our bond rating.
I did hear
I
that.
don't think this is a good time for you to leave. I think you should stay on and make sure we go to triple A.
4, 6, 8. We got 13 votes right here. We can write you in.
Well, I do appreciate that. No, I've really enjoyed being on the committee. I think it's a great committee for the town, and I'll still be in the town doing whatever I can to volunteer in other ways. I appreciate working with everybody. Charlie's been a great asset working with, keeping us up to date, and I love our committee's great. We've had many years, and got a couple of them up there, Steve and LEILANI, and from the way things are running, we will have 3 if Diane stays in the race, I guess, because it's unopposed. Correct. So 3 of our members will be up on the Board of Selectmen, so it's doing well.
Which is actually a very good place to start. Starting in FinCom helps you a lot.
Yes, and we do have 1 person running, and I think there's an open seat that no one is running, so if anyone does, it's a good committee to start if you want to get into town government. You learn a lot. I've learned a lot about my finances at home by doing budgets here, and learning a lot about business, just working with the committee in the town. So it's been a pleasure working with all the boards and the people, Judy, Steve Dooney, the town accountants. I've enjoyed my time here, so thank you very much.
Well, I spoke a little earlier tonight about you. It's been when you really need to, when you have a decision to make about how to vote on something, one of the things I always looked to was the Finance Committee. It was always a kind of a rock stable group that you gave a good presentation to what the issue was. And you worked hard, you asked all those tough questions, you did a great job. And I'll miss you on the board. I'm sure your compadres are going to do just as well as you do, maybe better. Probably better, actually. But I've enjoyed working with you for the past
Thank you very much, and I agree that the Finance Committee as a board is a good watchdog for just keeping track of the finances, and we do try to stay focused, leave emotions kind of aside, just put the numbers together and see where they fall, and then tell everybody, and then let the town decide. Right. So, Charlie did ask me to put together a quick, I guess all the committees in town are doing this, so it's not just me. Just of what the Finance Committee does and how we help the people and for the citizens to hear. So I just wrote a quick little put together here of what the Finance Committee. Finance Committee is an elected committee consisting of 7 persons. Our terms are staggered in time so that each year the citizens are allowed to replace or re-elect some new members of the committee. We are an independent board and report to no one but the citizens of Middleborough. Currently, the Finance Committee members are myself, Rich Pavadori, Chair, Mr. Donald Baldwin, Vice Chair, Ms. Suzanne Dubé, Secretary, Mr. Christopher Belkin, Mr. Glenn Cannon, Mr. Peter LePage, and Mr. Tarsi Valensis. Each member is sworn to the faithful performance of our duties, and we serve without salary or any other benefits. We are also not allowed to hold any other office or employment in town. All of our meetings are posted with the town clerk and open to all citizens. We typically meet on Monday nights, at least monthly, and many more times during budget season or any upcoming town meetings. Last year, we had 19 posted meetings. The committee considers and advises to all financial matters it finds reason to do so within the operation of town government. We work with all town departments, financial offices, Board of Selectmen, school committee, all committees, citizens, and agencies to help maintain the responsible financial operation of Middleborough. Our most notable function is to recommend and provide town meeting with the written annual budget book that you see and vote on each year at the annual town meeting. This budget book includes all town departments' spending by line items, along with anticipated revenues to balance our spending. The book becomes the baseline for the operation of the town for each given year. Although not as visible as the town budget, the Finance Committee is constantly monitoring spending throughout the town, including all new projects, capital planning, monitoring the budget throughout the year, and changes in policy that may affect finances both short and/or long-term. We act as the financial watchdog over town spending and services to make sure the citizens get the best bang for the buck and the financial will of the town meeting is followed. And we encourage all employees, town officials, citizens to attend our meetings or contact us anytime with any questions or concerns they may have.
Thank you very much. Board members have any questions? No?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Just a quick one. Rich, first, I want to thank you for your time and efforts over the years. That's great. I just have a question about your budget.
Sure.
You said the in-state travel,
Yes.
the money was set aside for traveling to the MMA?
Yeah, it's to the cost to go to the MMA. They charge, if you're an MMA member, which we are, there's I can't remember offhand what the charge is. There's a reduced rate for members, but the new members that, well, actually, all 7 of us are welcome to go in a year, but typically the newer members that get elected, and usually a couple more want to go, so we put that money in there as an offset. Typically, we drive ourselves or whatever, but the cost to go to that they charge, the MMA charges.
Right.
So that's like an offset.
I think it's a good idea. I think that should be extended to all committees. I know that selectmen can go to some of these MMA trainings, and they're very helpful. But you know, I was just wondering if if that was extended to other committees and groups as well. But as far as you know, no.
I'm not sure how they get that, who covers the expenses.
Yeah. Okay, just asking.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
I'd also like to say thank you very much to Suzanne Dubé for her time and effort on the FinCom as well. She's you're welcome to stay as well, but she's not running for re-election.
Oh, Suzanne, thank you for your time.
You'll be sorely missed.
You will.
Thank you very much. Nothing
Okay.
else?
Thank you, Rich. Now, can we do Conservation Commission?
Sorry. No, we did.
Okay.
We're not quite that sophisticated.
Okay.
No.
If I plug my computer, does it work or no? No.
Unplugged it.
Huh?
Unplugged it.
Okay. All right. Well, you'll have to look at me.
Page 23?
No, we're done with the PowerPoint. Thank you. I'm going to discuss most of that as we go along, even though I don't have the visuals. But I'm Debbie Kirsch, the Vice Chair of the Conservation Commission. I have Patricia Cassidy with us today, our agent. And thank you for allowing me to speak today on the Commission's behalf. First, I want to say that the proposed budget that we're seeing here isn't, as it appears, as level funding. It is really not level funding for how our commission has run. It's not even a small reduction of funding. It's actually a cut of 38% of our clerk's hours. We've needed additional hours by our clerk for 15 years and have been paying for those additional hours through our wetland filing fee account. We have not increased our clerk's hours from 22 and a half hours to our requested 36 and a quarter hours, as it shows here, but she has been working 36 and a quarter hours for 7 years. We are asking that this now be funded through the town budget, as our supplemental source, the wetland filing fee account, has been exhausted. This account had a balance of just over $41,000 in 2009, and due to the salary expenditure, on average $15,000 annually, this fund will run out May 10th, 2014. Earlier tonight, in fact, we met with the Finance Committee to discuss the need for emergency funds to be replaced to the wetland filing fee account. I will address 2 points tonight: the duties of the Conservation Commission, and in particular our clerk, and then the impact if this additional funding is not approved. Our clerk spends her time in both main components of the Conservation Commission's duties. First, the Conservation Commission itself was created in 1962 by a town meeting vote to protect open space and manage some public lands. At this time, the Commission oversees more than 1,100 acres of land and water bodies between properties owned and properties that contain conservation restrictions. Some of the duties include maintaining the land, such as mowing or mitigating damage due to weather or vandalism, improvement of the land to improve access for the public. We also seek ways to increase the amount of land protected in our town through conservation restrictions and land donations. We've been involved in many joint ventures with organizations such as Wildland Trust, the Nature Conservancy, and Buzzards Bay Coalition to protect additional land. And we create and maintain documents necessary to address the questions and concerns of the public, whether it is a large document, such as the Open Space Plan, which is not only a best practice to have, but is also required to apply for many grants, or keeping track of our extensive files to provide information needed by other town departments, such as the Building Department, the Board of Health, and DPW. And in addition to all of that, since 1972, the Commission has also been charged with administering the Wetlands Protection Act and is legally obligated to fulfill this task. Any activity that disturbs the earth and is within 100 feet of a wetland or 200 feet of a perennial river or stream may need to come before the Commission. This permitting process allows us to protect the wetland resource area so they can do the job they were intended to do, whether that's protect the water supply or prevent flooding or maintain habitats, among others. In order to fulfill this obligation, the Commission has long since needed the assistance of full-time clerical help. There is a tremendous amount of work that is generated from our office. On average, over 150 proposals come before the Commission, generating 168 site visits and 73 permits. Every hearing requires agendas and minutes to be generated, state guidelines to be followed, and every permit also has administration requirements, signatures and record keeping and the like. There are also regular requests from the public, whether it's a question about their own property, an abutting property, or something they have just seen around town. We often have a number of ongoing issues that are of great interest to the public, generating calls and visits and requests for information. Some have to do with public health, such as Rockland Industries site and the Brickyard and Field of Dreams. Others have historical significance, such as Jamar Turkey Farm and the Oliver Mill. Again, the monies we are asking for under the additional funds are not truly additional. We've been expending these funds for 15 years, but have not needed the town's assistance to pay for it until now. If these funds are not approved, it will have a huge impact on the job the Conservation Commission does. First, the office will not be able to be open 5 days a week from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. as it is now, affording the opportunity to the public to get the information they need or to report an emergency situation. As I mentioned a moment ago, an average of 168 site visits take place in the course of a year, taking our agent out of the office. In addition, our agent has other meetings and obligations that take her out of the office in the course of doing business for the Commission. It would be near impossible to coordinate all out-of-office business to take place only when a part-time clerk was in the office. Even if such scheduling could occur around everyone else's busy schedules with engineers and wetland scientists and property owners, cutting our clerk's hours by 38% would force the Conservation Commission office to focus almost completely on the Wetland Protection Act, as we have a legal obligation that has to be fulfilled. Our agent would also likely have to shift some of her focus to some of the administrative duties that our clerk normally fulfills in order to meet state requirements. This would further reduce the amount of time the office could respond to public requests, manage the town's conservation land, and pursue additional joint ventures that benefit the town. While we appreciate the town's financial situation, the Conservation Commission has carried part of the financial burden of running our department for as long as we could. The town has reaped the benefits of all the work the Conservation Commission has done. We now need the town to step back in and fully fund the needs of the Conservation Commission. Thank you, and can I answer any questions?
The extra money you've been spending.
Yes.
Coming out of the wetland filing fee account.
Yes.
Those fees have not been, we're not having any more filings going on?
We had a large influx of a filing due to Oak Point. We had $29,000 come into an account on a one-time anomaly. And that gave us a significant amount of seed money that has carried us for a while. We do have money that comes in. We have been for years spending more than has come in. We've noticed that, we've talked about that, and we've been told to, because we don't quite run out each year, told to keep using the filing fees until they're gone. Now they're gone. And yes, yes.
I think I've brought this up before, but we have several permits that are required by the state for us to administer, and they do not bring in fees. Like, when somebody's project is over and they're requesting a certificate of compliance, there is no fee that the state requires us to, take in. So we still have to process all that, and that takes time, but we're not gaining any fees from it. As well as requests for determinations, when somebody wants to find out if they're in a resource area or near a resource area. We get many of those inquiries, and we don't collect fees for those either.
In addition, as far as fees going into the account, one source that has been reduced is actually through state legislation. There's been the Permit Extension Act in 2010 and 2012 that was ideally used to assist people who couldn't finish their projects, funding wasn't there, and totally understandable. But what it's trickled down to for us is that these people are getting automatic extensions and then not having to refile for permits. So those permits would come through, we get fees on them. They were one of the easiest kinds of permits to process, so they didn't take much time because you're just updating maybe a wetland line that's changed a little bit, or a new law that's passed, or stormwater management's changed a little bit. But we've seen a drop in filings from that. Net 4 years out of it, we're now starting to see a hit on that.
Board members have any questions? Yes?
Didn't you at one point have a plan to implement fees for things like a certificate of compliance?
Yes, we are putting our bylaw through at town meeting, proposing it at town meeting, hopefully it will go through. And with that, there will be a fee schedule, but we're talking nominal fees here. We're not, this isn't going to fund, the Wetlands Protection Act in a year. It certainly will help. The Wetlands Protection Act, the filing fees to it are not meant to fund the entire administration of the Wetlands Protection Act. This is a benefit to the town, that the commission looks at these permits and makes sure we come up with something that protects all the lands around us. But the state assists the town with giving us some of those filing fees back, and that's what our filing fee account is from. But it's not meant to support all the administration of the Wetlands Protection Act.
Do those returns from the state cover the cost incurred by taking care of that particular activity? In other words,
no, you mean of
well, the state mandates
right.
This X has to be done.
Yes.
And we're going to give you
it absolutely does
dollars.
Not. No.
Do the Y dollars cover for the X detail?
Not even close. It's not meant to. It is meant to just help the towns that are doing something that is supposed to be good for their town. And it's similar to a lot of grants or matching funds and that sort of thing. It's that same kind of idea. They're buying into the town, they're helping, but it's not meant to pay for the wetlands, for the administration of the Wetlands Protection Act. No, not even close.
Is it 50%?
No, it isn't, because it does. It can't even right now match 38% of our clerk. So, yeah, no, it's meant as a, thanks for doing this, but really it benefits your town, and your town is supposed to pay for it, but they help. And it helps. I'm not going to say it doesn't help.
Any of the board members have any questions, comments?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Did you say you're going to be bringing back the wetlands home rule bylaw?
Yes, we have a proposal to go on the warrant at this town meeting.
Even though you're stretched to the max right now and don't have enough funding, you want to take on more responsibility?
Well, it also generates funding. It wouldn't add to our responsibility as far as, we're already administering the Wetlands Protection Act. It gives some parameters that are clearer to the public as what we will or will not accept. And it can actually streamline some of the permit process, because they come in with, they've got a bylaw, so we have to do this. So they don't try to argue a point, they just come in with, this is the plan, and it can go a little smoother. And as well as, yes, there would be a little bit more administration with the processing of the fees, but the idea would be the fees would offset that, and the streamlining of the permitting process would also be an added bonus.
I'll be interested to see how that proposal has changed for this year.
It has, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Have you had your public hearings on those yet?
No, so are they scheduled yet? I think it's at one last reading for town council.
Right, town council has reviewed it. We've now gone back and, revised the bylaw with his comments and the commission's, and now he's doing a final review, so.
So then you'll have a hearing on it?
Soon,
Very soon,
right,
yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
When do you guys meet?
The first and third Thursday of the month,
Every
usually,
week, and they're
generally.
open meetings?
Yes, yeah.
So people can actually come in and see the mountains of paperwork you guys actually generate?
They can see it on TV if they're up at 3 in the morning.
Mr. Chair, I was on the Conservation Commission for a year before I joined this board, and I was amazed at the amount of time and effort that goes into every permit, the amount of paperwork that honestly is generated by these things. I was completely flabbergasted by that, because I thought the Conservation Commission, I was going to walk around in the woods with a couple people for a little while, and we'd say,
We do that too.
Yeah, that's the good part.
Yeah.
But it's incredible the amount of paperwork and the amount of data that they have for all these things. And I don't think people understand the amount of work that you guys do. I honestly don't.
I
certainly didn't.
I think also the public believes that it is fully funded, that or that we function at 22 and a half hours for a clerk. And that's not how it's been for a very long time. It's just how that reads on paper. But it's been this understanding for a long time that we would pay for it out of the filing fees while we had them, with the hopes, of course, that they continue to replenish. And we came close a few times, but they kind of eked their way back, and they haven't this time.
Anything else, Mr. Crowell?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Yes.
I have one quick one. You said 38% of her hours have been cut.
Will be cut.
Will be cut.
Yes.
What percentage of her whole time is she actually doing wetland work?
It's an excellent question. It varies so much. I want to say close to 75% would be wetlands. Yeah. About 75% of her work is directly to fulfilling legal obligations, as Tricia does some of that as well, of course.
When she's on vacation and such, I'm doing some of that work, obviously, because it's only a two-person department, so we have to balance it. And yeah, I would say, a lot of it's the accounting, it's, the actual permit applications, it's putting together the hearing agendas, the minutes from the meetings. It's all
site visits that
this.
you're doing?
Yeah, I'm doing site visits, so she's covering the office, taking in phone calls from the public because they've been notified about a hearing, so taking messages from them so then I can call them back, and it's a lot.
Yes, Mr. Quell.
Just throwing this out there, any opportunities for any state grants or internship possibilities?
Well, we do have a person that comes in the office through the tax program. What's it called? Yeah, and that's been fabulous. And she's been able to do some things that even our clerk hasn't gotten to. So there is more work to do. Like, even this doesn't really completely allow us to do everything, but it certainly puts us in a better position than if we didn't have those hours. But we do have that assistant. And as far as grants go, actually brings up a great point. One of the things that we're concerned about from a time frame point of view is if these hours get cut, that it takes Tricia away from some of the conservation land and such that she's doing. One project that she's working on is the open space plan, which actually expired December 31st. We've got to get that done. She's got to get that done. I shouldn't say we. Before the grant season, that's the middle of July. So there's such time-sensitive stuff but we have legal obligations to the Wetlands Protection Act, and that's got to come first. But, these other things can bring in huge grants. There's land grants and matching funds and such that she's got her eye on that we want to apply for.
How about possible internships specifically for writing grants?
We haven't approached an internship for writing grants. I mean, most grant writing that I know of, usually there's some sort of fee involved. I mean,
Right,
and she does.
I've been doing the
yeah,
grant
she's
writing. There was a project that we were working on last year, which didn't come to fruition, but I did the whole grant process, and I did a CPA application, because obviously when we're applying for grants, we're looking at other funding sources, to leverage that. The land grant is really a fabulous grant, because we can get up to 64% of what they have in the pot for a specific project. Like, I'm hoping that, we're working on the Oliver Estate right now, and we could get, well over $200,000 just from that grant to put towards the project, which is huge. So.
And keep in mind that as wonderful as the grants are and all these projects you're talking about, they're actually not part of the Wetlands Protection Act. So if we lose these hours, these are the kinds of things we don't have the time to go after.
Well, any other questions?
Mr. McKinnon?
Sure.
Just, one of the issues we've had in town since before I was born was the site over there at the railroad. I can't.
Rockland Trust.
Industries.
Yeah, Rockland. Yeah.
So that's been going on for
Yeah,
over
that's
40 years.
Takes a
and
tremendous.
that's been in the Conservation Commission's
Absolutely.
office for over 40 years. And how much money have we gotten from the state to help supplement the time and effort?
None.
Right. So
Yeah.
we have a Super A site or whatever it's called over there in
It's a tier 1.
Yeah.
Tier 1
Yeah.
chemical dump in Middleborough. And your office has been working on it for 40 years with absolutely no funding.
Absolutely.
From,
Yeah. And it's on
either-
every meeting agenda. I mean, it is.
Now I've been emailing the state and copying.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah.
So as far as the Rockland Industry site goes, yes, I've been here for 6 years as of today, actually, and I've been working on that since day one, pretty much. So we did get a portion of the site cleaned up with some pressure. The state came in and handled that. However, there's still ongoing issues. They were supposed to go back and do site-wide testing. That hasn't been done as far as I know. Since the fall, they've been out of compliance. I've been emailing the state and, copying other interested parties to ask when this is going to be done. And I heard from them in December. I haven't heard from them now for a couple months.
And if you lose your clerk, if her hours are reduced by 38%, do you honestly think you'll be able to stay on top of this as much as you should?
I barely have time now, to be honest with you.
Huh.
So I try to keep this at the forefront and have a reminder, but I don't even know how it's going to get. And now we're entering spring and summer. Those are the busy times of the year. More permitting, more fees. However, it's going to take us a while to build that fund back up.
Charlie, relative to the Rockland Industry site, and Trish's attempt to get a response back from DEP. Could we send a letter to Senator Pacheco? He was, seemed to be beating the drum very, very loudly about the Rockland Industry site, and send it to our 3 reps also and see if they can get some activity relative to compliance going in that direction. Okay.
Thank you.
Did you forward the information to Charlie? You probably have all the letters, okay. Sir?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. My name is Brian Giovanni. I live on Rocky Meadow Street, and I'm not advocating not having this department, but the state has passed a law. We accepted the law, Chapter 131, the Wetlands Protection Act. Is there any way we could just hand it back to the state and say, you go administer it? It's not feasible to do that, am I correct?
You can do that, but what you get is sort of cookie-cutter responses. So if there isn't something that the state is really concerned is going to damage something, they're going to just pass the permit. So why some of our permitting takes 3, 4, 5 hearings is because we're going back and forth with the property owners, with the engineers, trying to come up with something that they can live with, but that protects the wetlands. Now, it might be, not as if it goes just to the state, they're going to look at, does it fall within the lines of the Wetland Protection Act, and they're going to say, good to go. We are now getting at a point where all the land that's left, or most of the land that's left to develop in this town, is marginal at best. And to at this stage of the game, to take that away and to have that go through the state is going to contribute to more flooding issues, water quality issues. It can be done. I think there are 3 towns in the state of Massachusetts that do choose to do it that way. The other 348 or whatever it is, do it through a commission.
Thank you. My other question would be hasn't there been a giant reduction in fees that the state allows collection for with this abbreviated notice of resource delineation? And pretty much now you could have a big site come out in front of you and they'd hand you a check for $2,000 to pretty much oversee a project. Isn't there, no, did that changed again?
No, you might be referring to, there was a simplified permit. That doesn't exist. The abbreviated notice of resource area delineation, that is to look at just the wetland line, and it's so much money per linear foot. And then usually they come back with a design based on the approved wetland line. So I think, yeah, you were talking about the abbreviated notice of intent, which they don't have anymore.
And my last one was, see, they've been funding this out of this big fee that they've collected over the years, and it just seems as though we've been getting by. And I know Neil Rosenthal in the past has made the comment that sometimes it's about government. We have to have these departments and offices. It's not about making money, it's about providing services to the people. And I think this is a department that with 2 people in it, unless there was some way to streamline, which I don't know how you streamline 2 people down to 1 person, it's just not doable. But it seems like this is one of those departments that we need our staffing, and I'm not advocating raising of taxes by no means, but if we can find some way to squeeze it, it seems like a worthy location. Thank you, to spend our money.
Mr. Giovanni, relative to your comment about can't we just turn this back over to the state?
Yes.
While I'm certainly not one to have you snooping on my land and, demanding that I get a permit to cut brambles that are within 100 feet of the wetlands. The thought of turning this department back over to the state terrifies me to the point of, well, there's only 2 words that I could really use to describe it, and that would be Rockland Industries. Because we all sat there, those of us that attended the hearing at the library, where they gave us this elaborate description of how they were going to test with electronic and various mechanical devices. They were going to test the soil, and they were going to keep going out until they found everything, and the test method they used was, yeah, it smells all right. And that's not what I would consider good testing. And we have not heard from them since. So unfortunately, this is the place where the rubber hits the road. The state, the federal government, they all do their little magic act up there, and then it comes down to us, and everybody says, you guys have to do this. And we have to pay for that. So this is not a no. There's no no's tonight. This is just a...
I understand, yes.
We got to get all the information together, and there's a whole bunch of factors involved. And, you know, we're looking for
we appreciate you
all
listening.
sorts of protections, not just, you know, we're not here to, well, you guys, I don't want you on my property. Yeah, but I also don't want some clown going out there dumping 55-gallon drums of whatever underground and then walking away.
And having it come to your property without you realizing.
Just two quick points. The reason Rockland Industries was cleaned to the extent that it was is in a very, very large part due to the efforts of Trish and her office.
Yes.
The second point is what percentage of Middleborough is wet?
You have the new maps.
More than half.
It's, I want to say it's, was it like 68% or something like that, or?
Yeah, because we have part of the, sorry. I tell people at my meeting, and then I forget, right? You know, we have a large part of the Assawamsett Pond complex that comes into our boundary. We have Tissapequin Pond, we have Woods Pond, Rocky Gutter, a large part of that wildlife management area is
You have all the
wet.
tributary areas.
All the tributaries, exactly. I would say, yes, it could be almost 75%.
So almost 75% of the town is protected by this office.
Right.
Two of them.
And that's another reason why giving this back to the state is not a good idea. So this is something we will think about.
Okay. Well,
All right.
Thank you very much. You know where to find us if you have more questions.
We have lots of lousy decisions to make, but we'll do the best we can, and I'm sure our brothers in Finance Committee would do the best they can. It's a team effort. You know, we're trying to keep everything going. So.
All right. We appreciate your time.
And thank you. Any other questions, comments? No? Okay. Thank you very much. Planning Board? Well, I guess we found the money. That budget?
Mr. Chairman, we have the chairwoman of the Historical Commission here, and she has a conflict Wednesday night, so...
She has a what? Conflict?
She has a conflict.
Oh, conflict.
Yeah, she's the first appointment on Wednesday night for her budget, so...
Okay. Is the young lady from the Historical Commission prepared?
Hi, Jane Lopes, Historical Commission. Don't take my budget.
Well,
It's
we
huge.
need your money,
It's
kid.
a
Sorry.
huge amount of money, I know.
Can't even go to the Flatiron for that.
And we actually never spend the whole thing, although this year we may, because we may, if we have some office space finally in the green school, we may need to buy some office supplies.
So what do you do with all your money?
Our money mostly goes to all of what is it, 1,600 and something?
I want an accounting, yeah, $1,601, that's
Yes.
the estimate.
And that is to pay our secretary and to send out notices if we have public hearings. That's pretty much it. Postage and stationery.
Right. Do you have, I was looking at I typed in historical locations in the town of Middleborough. And I get some historical commission and historic committee sites, but they didn't have a list of historical locations, or at least first blush I didn't find one.
There is a map, there is an historical sort of map that I know Jane Cudsey has a copy of it, has copies of it. It's like a brochure form.
Right.
And at one time, there were a bunch of them around.
Can we get that
somewhere.
on the internet somehow? I don't know how you do go about that.
Yeah,
Is that
Mr. Chair, if
something
I
you
may,
can do?
that's something we're working on putting on our town tourism website.
Okay.
Yeah, our intern's getting all that information now. In fact, I think I had contacted
Did you find that map?
I talked to Jane, and she's trying to find it, yes.
Okay.
But a lot of it was also on the open space when I talked to Tricia, so she's helping me with it as well. So
Uh-huh.
we are trying to compile that all in one area. When you
Right.
Google it, bang, it comes up, there it is. Yeah.
'Cause, you know, I know that when I typed in whatever I typed in first, I get this whole stream of things from, you know, Plymouth Rock and Plymouth this and, you know, all these houses and locations, but nothing from Middleborough. And I'd like to see, well, so somebody can type in and say, you know, well, I'm going by Middleborough, I've heard about the Rotary, maybe
Well,
they haven't, but.
There is an inventory, of historic buildings and sites that's available in the library. It's a fairly thick publication, not publication, but compilation of some 400 buildings and sites around town. So if somebody really, really wanted to study local history, that would be one place they could go to do it. But Leilani's right, there's not anything like real simple and that's what you're looking for, that if you just wanted to drive around Middleborough and see the historic sites, there isn't
Right.
anything readily available like that.
Also on the maps that we're putting together, yeah, we're trying to get it all in one area.
Okay.
Yep,
Good.
absolutely.
All right. Any other questions of the Historical Commission? No? No other questions? Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Nice seeing you. All right. So ends the budget meeting for tonight.
Now, we're scheduled for 7:30 on Wednesday, and we will be on television.
We will?
We will.
Super. Okay.
Not wearing a suit.
What?
Not wearing a suit.
Don't go insubordinate. You haven't been elected yet. Town manager's report.
Mr. Chairman, I gave you in my report our goals for this year, just to go over them and see where we are, see how we're doing. And I just, using my own tally sheet, checked off, things that we've already accomplished. I'll just go through them quickly. As Selectman DALPE said earlier, we're way ahead of schedule on the tourism effort. We created the committee on time, and that has really taken off as we've heard. So that's been a real real positive step that we've made. Similarly, with the Rotary improvements, we had an early victory on that one. I mean, as I reported last week, their Mass Highway, Mass DOT is continuing to work on the design, and we're hopeful to see some iterations of that fairly shortly. So that one too is well ahead of schedule. As we did tonight, we've been meeting with departments, and I think we have another department coming in Wednesday to give a report, and another one the following Monday. So we're well along on that objective. The single-page permitting guidelines, we put together a first draft. I've edited it, sent it back out to departments. We're meeting later this month to go over it one last time before we're ready to bring it to you and show it to you and the public. So that one's fairly far along. In terms of increasing recycling and trash pickup, we did have a preliminary meeting with the board, with our technical assistance staff and DEP, and we're on schedule to come to you with a recommendation early in April. Continue to be working on that. We've had several visits from various trash units coming in with mechanical equipment. And we have a company coming in with the receptacles later this week, so that one's moving along. The financial liability for regionalization, Selectman Quell and I met on that, talked about alternatives to the county system. I did, do some outreach to PARAC, which is the Public Employee Retirement Administration Office, confirmed that were we to create a local retirement system, we'd have to do it by special act, and that would take a vote at town meeting. And what I'd like to do with that is I'd like, as we go into negotiations with our employees, this spring, is have that discussion with them, because I think we're going to need their support, to do something like this, and just do a little outreach and education about the pluses and the minuses. There's no advantage to bringing anything forward right now, because, as we know, the legislature is going to basically adjourn in July. So nothing will happen until next year. So it gives us some time to do a little more discussion about that. The one area that I haven't really been able to get to, and I will later this month, is taking another look at performance contracting and seeing if there's a avenue here to get some of our building projects funded in that way. It's just something that I need to spend a little time on, and pull together a meeting with our Green Energy Committee, school department staff, and just haven't been able to get to it, but I will. I know Selectman Frawley continues to attend the APC meetings. I know there are discussions going on about trying to find some funding for that study, and I think that's the next critical step, is we have to figure out a way of getting the funding.
I made a call to Nancy Yates, who's in charge of the APC in Lakeville, over the weekend. Hopefully she'll get back to me soon. But they had a meeting today. There was a dam management meeting tomorrow, I think. And I'm trying, just so everybody knows, for my own understanding, we need to know how much water is coming over the dam at Assawamsett. We need to know how much water is going through the bridge at Bond Street. We need to know how much water is going through the bridge at the railroad, how much water is going through the bridge. Because there are choke points all once. I think there's seven or nine of them. You can only, I don't know how, like if say there's 5,200 CFS coming through the first one, but only 48 coming through the second one, the highest the next one can get is 48. So if it continues to reduce, which is what happens, long before it gets to Wareham Street is useless, because it's already restricted by all of the other obstructions, the bottlenecks in front of it. So there's just no way, and we all know this, but there's no way Wareham Street Dam can let any more water through than the most restrictive upstream bottleneck. It just can't. It's not allowed. It's a law of hydrology. And that dam at Assawamsett has been there for I don't know how long. Nobody can tell me how much CFS is coming through there. So I don't understand how somebody can possibly say that they conclude that this dam is the reason that dam isn't working.
We've already proved that beyond a doubt.
I know, and yet it still comes up.
We dropped the dam down nearly to the bottom.
And it all dried up.
Dried up.
Right. And
dried up the fish ladder, dried up, you had 50 yards of mud flats before the fish ladder.
Yep. And the water at the dam, because I put in my canoe at that dam, walked through the mud, and the water at the dam, there was no difference, no discernible difference between the pond and the river, because the whole dam and the land on each side of it were all underwater. There wasn't a flow there. It was a wetland. Which is why we need the Conservation Commission, just tying everything together.
That all tied up, very good. Is that it?
But so there was a meeting today, there's a meeting tomorrow, and I'm trying to work with a number of legislators to get some facts down.
And then the last item, you know, we're waiting on our pavement management study and seeing if we can develop a financing plan to support that. So that should be coming up fairly shortly.
Okay.
So I think we're, you know, in very good shape, and we'll continue to make progress. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any questions of the town manager? Next item on the agenda is correspondence. Ms. Delphi. Yeah, number 1.
Okay, I'm going to bring it up. N-Star, number 9. They're giving us notice that they're going to be spraying now, I guess. What are they? They have it fancy here, devegetation, blah, 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 blah.
It's the gas line, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they're going through. Has somebody actually checked that from the town, its vicinity to drinking water, other homes that we could notify?
Got that? Okay. Check.
Yeah, okay. Oh, that would be great, yeah. I don't want to run into, nobody knows about this like the last time the
Yes,
cuttings
and-
happened, because they
and
talked about cuttings as well.
The
Okay.
presentation that they came in after the fact about the cuttings, I
Yeah.
wish had been to the whole town, because it would
Yeah.
have solved a lot, and that was unfortunate. But the spraying they do routinely, and it is, I don't have the spec sheets in front of me, but it is biodegradable in a way that it dissipates before it gets to groundwater. They're using, there's a term for it that I can't recall, but they are using product that is safe to use near the wetland. When they're near the wetland, they have different things that they spray at different areas, color-coded by what they spray when and where. And as far as we know, they've always been good, but we've not ever had a problem.
What about for, like, the homeowners that have animals? I know we have one person along that route who has, horses. I mean,
Right.
show horses.
Yeah, I've got horses myself, so
Yeah, so,
I'm very familiar with that.
I mean, when they spray for the mosquitoes, you can't go outside even though they say,
And that
okay.
actually, you know, and I was actually, spoke to both my vet and the state Department of Health, and that's actually, it certainly doesn't hurt to stay inside, but that too also dissipates so fast that even if it gets sprayed into their drinking water that they then drink, it is not, they say it won't harm them.
Yeah.
So,
It
I
would
mean,
still make me
obviously we-
nervous if I had my
Yeah.
livelihood in hundreds of thousands of dollars of
Right.
horses or
Right.
animals. You know, is there any,
I
can we
would
post
encourage
this link
them, I would
online
encourage them
on
to
our?
get the spec sheets from,
I know it's not, but I want to try to avoid, I mean,
Right.
the cutting was nothing new too. These people had
No, that was
easements.
very new.
But they had easements on their property they were
Right.
aware of and were then
Yeah,
after the
we
fact.
can certainly post this. This is no
yeah,
problem.
I would suggest getting the spec sheets on the chemicals they're using. The Concom has them, and Star can give them to you.
Well, they
If you
have a
don't
link
already have
here,
them.
yeah.
And make those available to people. They can talk to their vets, they can talk to whomever they want to, and make sure that they're comfortable.
Forewarned, that's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
If any efforts we can make.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I'm glad you were here.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it? Mr. Quell?
Number 10, town manager and the assessor's office were kind enough to shed some light on that. It just kind of struck me as an idea, but then again, it was good to get some real professional input into how you might be able to apply something like this, understanding that it's being submitted by a very different town than us, Dartmouth. So that's kind of, I was really glad that we were able to, sort of share that with everybody. So I'll just end it with that. And again, Rich Pravadori, of course, is submitting a Plymouth budget for us to review, but I just want to go ahead and thank Rich Pravadori again for all the time and effort he put into donating to this town as chairman of the Finance Committee. Thank you very much.
Mr. Nolden?
Yes. Number 8, I was disappointed to see this letter from the planning board. I'm deeply concerned that there are boards in the town that are viewing incoming businesses as essentially these piñatas that they can continually keep hitting for more and more money. Although it's good for the town in the short term to get these large payments, I'm very concerned about what message this is sending out to other businesses that might be coming here to our town. And it seems like the hits just keep coming with this letter. Again, very concerned about it. And that's all.
Mr. Fowler?
Who is that number 3? I know Mr. Rulo was our
He still
liaison.
is.
He still is. All right, Mr. Rulo, if you're watching this. All right, so.
I don't think I volunteered for that.
I know I didn't.
I remember you did, Steve.
I'm pretty sure you weren't there that night.
I have a gavel and I know how to use it. No, I didn't volunteer to go to the MBTA and tell them how they were draining us for our money. I want to get out of Boston alive, you know. I don't want to get assassinated, so.
Thought you might actually enjoy that.
Yeah, I'd have a great time there. Will you guys put up the bail money for me?
On the second or third day, sure.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I think the MBTA is a tremendous drain on our pocketbook in more ways than everybody understands. From the aspects of the going to get your license renewed at the registry, where about $400 million or whatever goes to the MBTA, not to your wallet, not, you know, no, I'm not going.
All right.
I want to
I
live
was
to
just
see
checking.
another day.
And then the South Shore Recycling Cooperative, 15th anniversary tour, luncheon, and award. That's free for elected officials, you know.
Is it?
It's food. That's a meal for you, Alan.
Yeah, I'd have to take off work to go to it, but it's, the way recycling's going, if somebody's got the afternoon off, it wouldn't be a bad thing to do. Free lunch, learn a little bit about recycling. But that's it for me.
Okay. Our conservation agent wants to have sent a letter to the Army to find out what they use to clean the guns. She should probably use better terminology than that, because they might laugh at her, but I applaud her efforts, because we want to make sure that things are done properly when they do clean the weapons. And they are right next to the railroad tracks, so how could you tell the difference? Okay, any other questions or comments about correspondence? Having nothing else, and nothing to do the rest of the night but go home. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Damn, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Oh, the ayes have it. Thank you all.